to the pop culture cosmos.
And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the Pop Culture Cosmos. Game Source, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, and of course the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you checking out all of our great shows, and make sure you go ahead, and when you do, especially if you're listening on the podcast outlets like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all those great podcast outlets, make sure you give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe today on YouTube to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest pop culture cosmos, PC multiverse, state of pro wrestling, and more. We bring you so much around the world of pop culture right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a pop culture cosmos without my good friend, my compadre in crime, a man who I was just talking about before we went on the air, talking about how, hey, Josh, let's go ahead and do this pop culture thing. I know we're doing a game podcast right now, but you know what? I think we broadened it. We talk about pop culture stuff all the time. Let's just make it a regular pop culture radio show type thing. He said, okay, let's do it. 475 weeks later, he's still here with me. He is my good friend. It is Josh the Great Peterson. What's up, man?
You know, it's funny. There's still like a lot of things that we talk about on the show that like I have no idea is even going on until you mention them like on the air, and I'm like, oh, I had no idea that was happening. And then I end up doing some research. You educate me on a lot of things as we go along here, and that's kind of been the way things have been for the past several years, man. It's been quite the ride venturing into new territories of pop culture outside of gaming.
Absolutely. It's been a great ride with you, my friend, and then all the people along the way. Man, I better stop because I got to save that for number 500 because we got something a little special in the works coming up for number 500.
Hey, before we get started, let me pitch an idea to you.
Pitch away.
Okay. So I just bought the new Dan Brown book, in the Robert Langdon series, Secret of Secrets. All right, book is like really thin, so I have a feeling it's this might be like our last Robert Langdon adventure. I hope not, but we'll see. I know you were really down on Inferno, and it was, let's be honest, it was not a great movie. Really, really jumbled, headache inducing, makes you want to go to the Tylenol bottle right afterwards. Okay. In this era, right, of streaming shows, what would you think of? I know it was Peacock or something tried to do like a young Robert Langdon series that failed horrifically. Okay, Netflix show or HBO Max completely reboots the Robert Langdon series, right? Starts at Angels and Demons, works their way through Da Vinci Code, then Lost Symbol, Origin, so on and so forth. What would you be interested in a show like that? A refreshed, no Tom Hanks, a completely refreshed one that actually has the budget and the writing for it.
That's the first thing I would tell you. Is as much as I appreciate and like and admire Tom Hanks, one of the greatest actors of all time, I don't want him anymore. No. This was not his shining moments. This was just him going for the cash grab on each and every one. I would want somebody that has a better passion for it. I would like a little bit better, pardon the pun in this case, writing for it, because I don't think that any of the movies were very well written. I thought they had great concepts. I wish they would have followed the stories a little bit better. But I could see myself getting back into it again. I think because I miss having those action thrillers, because I think at the heart of it, when I always talk to you about North by Northwest as the beginnings of the big budget action thriller type movies, where two people are thrust in together as far as into a overwhelming situation and have to try to go do extraneous lengths to get themselves out of it. I would love to see that once again. I'd love to see that once again. I know that Apple TV had that one earlier this year with John Krasinski and all that. That was The Fountain of Youth. That was didn't quite scratch the itch. I'll just say that it was all right for what it was. It's more, that was definitely the popcorn entertainment. But I am searching for something that gives me a little bit more bite,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need to move in particularly away from like made for TV, made for money type things, because this is the beauty about the streaming platforms. It allows you to tell a story the way that it was meant to be told, and people are still really, well, people will watch it. You know, like that. That way I think like Da Vinci Code, Angels, Demons, like books like this. Like, look at the times we're living in, man. Like everything is a conspiracy involving politics and religion. Like, this is the perfect time to put something like this out into the world, and people will eat it up and tell the story the way that it was written by the author, instead of the way that the studio shaped it to do whatever for marketing. You know, just tell the story the way it was meant to be told, and people will come, man. I guarantee you.
I love globe trotting adventures. I don't know about you, but I just get drawn to them. Those globe trotting adventures, whether for whatever reason that they're compelled to do so, whether it's a James Bond flick or whether it's just two people, like I said, thrust into it for whatever reason. I just love those broader, really high concept type adventures, and that's what I'm hoping for again. And I'm hoping we'll get that. I think it's becoming a lost art in and of itself, because I think it just really puts, in a lot of cases, people like you and I, or an average individual, and it just allows us to go ahead and just fantasize that we could be put into those situations as well.
Yeah, I think, and hot take. I enjoyed the movie Sahara with Matthew McConaughey. Like, I thought it was a nice, like,
That's a
mindless.
really hot take.
And
Oh,
yeah, no, but I mean,
Sarah,
like,
get it?
it was.
Hot.
I see what you did there. No, it was like a nice mindless adventure. And it was globe trotting. Go watch it and feel, not like you wasted your time. But yeah, I think we go to movies, we read books, we play video games for this, like, need to escape. It's the art of escapism, right? And now everything that is put out there is mirrored so closely to, like, what is going on in the world, that nobody goes and makes globetrotting adventures or like fantasy aimed stories, or sprawling sci-fi epics. Everything is so grounded in reality that it's not really escaping anymore. It's just like a looking into the lens of an alternate reality.
Absolutely. So, again, I would not be opposed to it, my friend. I would not be opposed to it. I just hope it would be written a little bit better. You could even thrust it into a series. Would you be more
That's
inclined to say now it's a series?
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Like a series on Netflix. So, like, each book is made up of 12 episodes.
Mhm.
And like
Absolutely.
there's 5 or 6 books out. So you could have 5 or 6 seasons. You don't have to worry about, you just stop it when it's done. No more. Don't, like, if someone's like, "Hey, I have this idea for a show not based on a book," smack that guy in the hand and say, "No.
No, don't do
Don't
that, man.
don't do it. Don't do it."
There you go, something like that indeed. But if you have thoughts on that, we would love to hear your thoughts. Are you missing those globe trotting, real exciting adventures? Again, the Fountain of Youth earlier this year, I kind of think was just, and I think that's probably why it didn't go. You notice it was on Apple TV Plus, and it never even had any entertaining thoughts of
It was a Guy
going
Ritchie
to.
movie too. I was really bummed that it turned
Yeah,
out that way.
yeah, Guy Ritchie. I think it's just something he did. Like, okay, I got a month. It's open in my schedule. I'll
Yeah.
just shoot this. There you go. I think Apple TV Plus, once they saw it, realized it wasn't going onto a big screen because it just wasn't that great of a film. But
Yeah, and
again,
again, it wasn't like the worst piece of garbage movie I've ever seen. It
no,
was like,
no.
it entertained while it was on, but also I wouldn't go up to people and say like, "Hey, this is a really good movie."
Yeah, the brother and sister thing, that's like, okay, yeah, I get it. All right, okay. Yeah, it just didn't scratch that itch for me. But if you have thoughts out there on being able to go ahead and have something like a globe-trotting adventure, do you miss those globe-trotting adventures? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still so much more to talk about on today's program. Obviously, the big headline in the past few days is, well, outside of anything relating to Bad Bunny, of course, is Taylor Swift. And I know that we don't touch on Taylor Swift a lot, but you cannot really just go ahead and deny the impact on pop culture she has. Her album Life of a Showgirl came out this past week, and 2.7 million albums sold within the first, well, not albums, but 2.7 million copies of her album. I'm assuming most of it digital. In the first 24 hours, breaking and smashing a Spotify record. So it is digital. I mean, that is amazing in and of itself. And then the fact that it's not a documentary, it's not a movie, it was something like an experimental concept of the way she presented her songs in the album. That came out over the weekend, Josh, at the box office. And of course, it dominated the box office, getting about $33 million in its first weekend here domestically. Your thoughts on this, my friend? Because again, and she hasn't even embarked on a new tour. We know how many, billions that's going to generate. She is the hottest entertainer on the planet. And I don't think there's really an argument like that right now, but this could be what we're seeing as peak Taylor Swift. Very few entertainers reach this level across genres, but she has reached it. And I believe that we're seeing the best of what we're seeing from Taylor Swift right now.
Yeah. Okay. So me and my wife wandered into Target on the day the album was released. It's funny because all new releases come out on Fridays now, which is weird because remember it used to be Tuesdays.
Yes.
But we wandered into Target. Target has, I want to say they had like 3 or 4 what do you call it, cardboard displays for the new Taylor Swift album, and I've never seen so many album cover variations in my life. And I was and that's not a bad thing. I was thoroughly impressed by like how much marketing is going into this album. And Taylor Swift, for say what you will about her, but she's done a great job of I don't know, making herself what am I trying to say? Not valid,
Relevant,
but relevant.
popular.
Sorry, yes, that's the word.
A must see, a must experience.
She's done a great job of
part.
making herself relevant, like to audience, millions of people out there. And it's crazy because like I don't remember the time when that switch happened from where Taylor Swift was like, oh, it's all right, it's just Taylor Swift making a Shake It Off or whatever, and then she just becomes this like worldwide phenomenon. I don't know where that happened, but it's just like it did. And you have all these people going like, oh, she's not going to make any more albums after she gets married and blah blah blah. And but the truth of the matter is, I think you just consider yourself lucky if you get more stuff from her because she doesn't have to. Look at how much money she's made.
I think the word exploded onto the scene. Became from a level like, remember she was the one who was at the podium of the MTV Awards when Kanye West interrupted her and took over and commandeered that, in that moment.
That might have been it. Yeah, that might have been the moment that kickstarted everything. I don't know, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then she just really, literally exploded as the preeminent entertainer of our time. I mean, going back to me, this, I think, in my opinion, even supersedes the success Michael Jackson had during the Thriller era when he crossover with his video, like for instance, the Thriller video actually was like a small mini movie in and of itself, and it was he was a icon that I guess really transformed what pop music was and how popular it could be. His tours, his music, and just how big he was, an icon of that era. I think I've lived through both eras now, and I really think that Taylor Swift has evolved beyond that. Now, to argue about for Michael Jackson in that era, he didn't have all the technological advancements that they do now in this day and age, and all the, as far as that's concerned. But no one can deny the success of what he achieved in the 80s, and no one can deny the success that Taylor Swift is doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like at this point though, like, because I know there's been some mixed reception from different various critics on the new album, but like at this point it doesn't really matter, because by the time any word comes out about whether the album is good or bad, it's been purchased by millions of
She
people
could read
worldwide.
the phone book. She could sing the phone book, Josh, and get a million.
Yes, yeah, she could sit there and read The Art of War and put it out on an album, and people would just eat it up. It's
Absolutely.
absolutely crazy. And I will say that Friday also had the release of some other artists that were really good, but like I sit there and think Def Havana and Thrice, definitely check out their new albums because they are really great. But at the same time, I think about this, it's like the same way movie studios are thinking to themselves like, hey, let's put out this movie at the same time this Marvel film is coming out. Like, you just don't it does not seem, because people are going to be listening to this Taylor Swift album for so long that I haven't listened to it. My wife said she really likes it, but they're going to be listening to it for so long that I feel like a lot of music that releases within like a 3 or 4 week time span of this album is going to get completely overlooked and forgotten about.
There's two things behind it. Some willingly do that so that they feel that, okay, you're at the store buying the Taylor Swift album. Oh, and along the way, you see the other album as far as new releases alongside with it. So you get it with it. So they're hoping for that bookend type
Yeah.
of purchase. Or they're just absolutely stupid for getting railroaded like that. As far as that's going, video games sometimes do that, where there's a large video game release like Battlefield 6 coming up here, or Call of Duty later here in the not too distant future, and then they just pull it out of side, and then they just blow it. They just don't realize it. Like right around video game scene, the GTA 6, nobody's even coming close to putting their release date right in and around GTA 6 next year. So I'm just going to say this, it's her success. Congratulations to her for all of her success. Obviously, something like you said, where even if it's a critically mixed film or mixed album, it doesn't matter because she is so successful. She is on that plane, and she's achieving that type of success. It's just interesting to watch, the back and forth, the love and the not so much love that she continues to get going forward. But the people that out there that really appreciate her music and love her music, they're getting what they want. She's coming out with consistent releases, consistent performances, and she doesn't go into hiding for like 3 or 4 years like some artists do. She's out there for her fans, whether and it's not because of money anymore, because she's already made more than she'll ever need in 10 lifetimes.
Yeah.
She's doing this just because she enjoys doing it. You can tell at this point she enjoys performing to the masses out there because of the fact that, again, she doesn't have to do this for money anymore, Josh.
No, I mean, she doesn't have to do anything anymore, like ever. Like I'm pretty sure that she's bigger than Beyonce at this point, like in
Oh
terms
yeah.
in
Sorry.
terms of
For
money,
however success,
career.
yeah. However much success that Beyonce, and no disrespect to Beyonce, Taylor Swift has eclipsed that as far as it's concerned. So
Yeah.
at that one time, I thought they were really on a parallel to each other, but Taylor Swift, I believe, has surpassed that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Beyonce does stuff and then she disappears for a long time, but Taylor Swift has been like a mainstay in everybody's life for what, the past 10 years at least. So she's definitely doing something right. Well done, good for you.
And what timing too, because even though K-pop Demon Hunters is still at the top of the charts or near the top of the charts, music wise, Netflix wise, it is now 3-4 months in now of Demon Hunters. She pops her album there and is attracting much of the same audience that is still needs something out there to go ahead and take care of and listen to. So yeah, it's just the timing couldn't have been better for her as well. Just absolutely. Just somebody's really doing a good job there, as far as making sure when that gets released.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it's her. She has her own like marketing team or what, but there's a lot of this is I'm hopeful a lot of other artists are taking note of this because like this is what works.
She does have her own as far as the production company release as far as she doesn't go to a movie studio when she does these movie releases or these type of releases to movie theaters. She does this through her own company, so she's reaping even more benefits by doing that as well. But speaking of the box office, my friend, we talked about obviously the great success of the box office this past weekend. Again, Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl not only exceeding expectations on a digital format with Spotify and Apple as far as downloads and all that, but she also, again, like I mentioned earlier, 33 million roughly domestically here, leading by far and away, leading the box office. In third place, however, my friend, was probably something I think a lot of people were not expecting. A24's A Smashing Machine, starring The Rock in what has been called for him one of his most, if not the most, critically lauded performance of his career. Definitely something where he was trying to go ahead and find a subject or a movie or a title that would actually help propel him into a much more serious tone, much more dramatic tone. Whether you say it's something like Oscar bait, that I'll leave that up to your interpretation. But this portrays the movie itself, The Smashing Machine, portrays the life in the 90s and I think early 2000s of Mark Kerr, MMA legend, who's still alive today and actually helped promoted the film with The Rock, but promoted Mark Kerr as far as the highs and lows of when he was competing for the early days of UFC, and then also Pride fighting in Japan. Your thoughts on this? I think what it comes down to is that the really disappointing results when it was once expected to reach about 20 million in its first weekend, it only actually reached about 6. A lot of it's based, I think, on the fact that it's a niche subject, and I think The Rock, his name couldn't even sell it. I think this was really an art house film by Benny Safdie, one of the younger directors. He's usually working with his brother on projects, but this time he went at it alone. Your thoughts on The Smashing Machine? I think it just went for as far as a subject matter that really was a niche subject, something that a lot of people really had to go ahead and think about whether or not they really wanted to commit to it. Obviously, a lot of people didn't, and those that do, it's really centralized to one small marketplace that wanted to check out The Rock in this type of role.
Yeah, so I had read headlines about this movie and I'd seen that The Rock lost a ton of weight to do this part.
A lot of weight to do this part. He went, I believe, to 250, 280. It's for his next role as he's losing his weight. For just to let you know.
I'm sorry about that.
Looks massive. He looks massive
okay.
for play Mark Kerr. Yeah,
Maybe
he had to be massive to play Mark Kerr in the 90s for that role.
Okay, yeah, maybe I got those confused. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I personally I know people who love MMA. This is it sounds like a very artsy movie. Maybe I'll watch it if ever it hits streaming, but I haven't really heard enough about it to say like whether or not it's something I'm interested in watching. But if The Rock can't sell a movie about MMA fighting, I don't know who would be able to do that. So I don't know, man. I mean, we're living in a time where we do need more of these art house films. We do need more of the indie look and feel and style of movie. But how much you say it made in box office?
$6 million.
$6 million.
That's a wide release. It's his lowest opening for a wide release film, supposedly ever for him, as far as it's concerned.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, like like I said, I didn't even know anything about it. So I mean, maybe there's probably a marketing issue going on here, but I don't know. I mean, it might be one of those ones that sees new life on streaming platforms too. So it's hard to say.
It's hard to say indeed, but yeah, it was just kind of disappointing. I know he's probably disappointed in it. We'll see if it still gets the Oscar buzz, because it being a disappointment doesn't really mean a whole lot to because those art house films, if it has the right buzz for him, which it did leading up to this release, as far as his performance specifically. A little bit of Emily Blunt as well. Again, they team up for a lot as far as movies together, seemingly. But for him specifically, we'll see if it can still translate into an Oscar nomination for him. I'm interested to see Daniel Day-Lewis with Anemone also came out, the movie directed by his son over the past weekend not what quite wide release, but about 700-800 theaters. It didn't do as well as expected either. So interesting to see. I mean, again, a return of Daniel Day-Lewis after many years of being in retirement. I thought he was gone forever as an actor, but he comes back for his son, Rock, considered by many his best dramatic role ever, and neither of them couldn't hold a candle to what Taylor Swift did this weekend at the box office.
Let me ask you a question, because I had read about Daniel Day-Lewis's son and Daniel Day-Lewis. Do you think that's cheating?
How so?
To have your dad be in your movie, if your dad's like a famous actor, like they talk about like nepo babies or whatever. It just kind of seems like you're not, if you can't sell a movie without using like your blood, your like blood relatives or whatever to get people to watch it. It just seems like you really gotta wonder if it's a good movie or not.
Well, you also sometimes can't get it financed unless you've got a name attached to it.
Yeah,
So
that's true. But here's the thing, though: we're living in this era where like you can do anything with a decent camera. You don't have to have an amazing budget. You just need to have good writing, acting, and a decent camera to do it with. So I don't know. I'm not saying the movie's bad. I mean, I had been curious about it, but it just seems like you're not really doing much in terms of like making a name for yourself if you're relying on somebody who already sells tickets to make your movie big.
that's true. That's true indeed. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Again, one of the most acclaimed actors in the history of acting, in Daniel Day-Lewis. You've got one of the big box office success stories as far as the leading actor in The Rock of all time, and both got blown away by the quintessential pop star of this period, of this part of the century in Taylor Swift. They just got both waxed at the movie theaters, and it wasn't even close. So it was just interesting to see the different kinds of returns this past weekend. And as we get into what's coming up here in the not too distant future, Tron, I know that you and I will be covering Tron Ares next week. And as far as the recap on how it did, I'm interested to see how it fares up in this modern era as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's I know we talked about this a little bit already, but it's, you have a movie where a sequel finally comes out and the people who were in the movie before aren't even interested in being in the movie anymore. It makes you really wonder, like, are they putting this movie out? Like, why are they putting this movie out? Not that I'm complaining, because I really like Tron, but is this franchise salvageable? I guess like they have that big ride at Disney World, which is actually a lot.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're right. When it comes to what we're seeing with Tron, you were saying about Tron that the ride at Disney World, I believe.
Yeah, sorry. The ride at Disney World is really fun if you ever get a chance to go on it. But it just makes me wonder, like, what exactly is Disney trying to do with the Tron franchise?
That's a good point. Again, putting it out in the middle of October is not the greatest point. I would have chosen a different date to try and really market it, because I think this movie, if it's anywhere, it looks good. I want to see it, and I'm hoping for the best for it. But again, I don't know if Disney has its full love and support behind it. I never felt that Disney has had its love and support behind it. And as we've seen with Sony and PlayStation, they'll just send stuff out there to die if they don't support it 110%. And I don't know. This is supposed to be the buffer until the Avatar movie comes out for Disney, And I just don't know if we're going to be able to get the kind of love for Tron Ares that I think it might deserve. But again, we'll see. Jared Leto's the lead on it, and Jared Leto needs a good movie, I think, to go ahead and, uh, you know, he's been on a little bit of a low streak as of late.
Yeah, nobody's talking about any of his controversies anymore. So I don't know. They kind of disappeared. So maybe this movie will put him back on the map. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. But if you have thoughts on the box office and Taylor Swift's domination of pop culture, please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here. Josh, you doing all right, my friend? Doing all
I
right?
have we just one thing we didn't talk about, man. Did you see where the numbers for Demon Slayer are at? $757 million.
It is?
Yeah,
Oh,
did you look at the it climbed up, it passed Superman, F1, How to Train Your Dragon. Like that's a massive jump because I think it was just last week, right? We were talking and it was
just barely over 600.
yeah, $157 million, like seemingly in the span of what, 7 or 8 days.
Yeah, how did that happen? Must have been a Chinese release, something like that. My
Yeah,
guess is a
well,
Chinese because it's already at the end of its run here in the States, where it's barely still in the top 10 and earning under $2 or $3 million. But
yeah.
it
60,
I'm saying I think it's a
633
Chinese. I don't know for that for sure.
Yeah, that would make sense. But I mean, because look at it's like 633 million foreign and only 124 million domestically. So that's a
My
good bet.
guess. You were saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said that. I was just gonna say that's a good assumption. What you were saying.
That's really great. And again, just an amazing way to release plan. First of all, you release in Japan. It sits there for a ton of weeks and dominates there. Then you slowly release it out over Asia and then slowly release it out over the world. You make a US separate release for it. It front loads for you and buffers it to make it even get you over the 500 and get you close to the 600 mark. And then you release it. Apparently, my guess would be China. You release it for China and it explodes there. So yeah, it just an absolutely smart release. And who knows, it might even make $1 billion, Josh.
Yeah. I mean, it's I would like I said, I was shocked to see it reach as high as it is now. So yeah, will it what else is standing in its way right now?
I thought you were mistaken when you said 757. I really thought you're mistaken, but then I went to box office punch. I'm like, dang, he's right.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's Jurassic Rebirth and Minecraft are the only things standing in front of it now before it hits that $1 billion mark. So who knows, man? Anything's possible.
Absolutely, anything is possible, indeed. But very, very interesting. A movie that we saw, we both liked, and if you can catch it still in theaters, I would recommend Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yayaba, the movie Infinity Castle. So go ahead and check it out today at your local theater before time runs out. Although it's going to go on Crunchyroll, it's going to go on Netflix, so eventually you'll be able to see it there. But the big screen experience, believe me, it's really good. The animation's really good on that one. But my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's show. I wanted to go ahead and make sure you have plenty of time to moan and groan about Xbox, because I know that TJ and I did last week, so I would be remiss if I didn't give you that. But before we do, got to preview Battlefield 6, because that will hit, I believe, just before TJ and I speak again, although I'm sure we'll touch on it on the day we speak. Your thoughts on Battlefield 6? Is this going to be a successful revival of the Battlefield franchise after the disappointment of its previous iteration?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I'm hearing a lot of chatter about it. A lot of people are really excited about it. There's a lot of hype going around for the new Battlefield game. I guess the big question here is, as it always is with Battlefield games, like Call of Duty manages to stay out and keep that price point for, I want to say, at least 6 months before there's any sort of price cut on a Call of Duty game. Battlefield is one of those games, much like the anything Ubisoft puts out, it has a hard time maintaining that price point for longer than 2 or 3 months, right? It like, what was the last Battlefield we saw came out, and it 2 months later, it was down to like 1999. So, I mean, it's a big question here: will it have legs, and can it keep those legs? Or
That's a
are
good
we going to
point.
find a point where like the players start dropping off because they're going back to their Call of Duties, Fortnites, or whatever? So, what is EA going to do here that is going to make people pick up Battlefield and stay in Battlefield?
Well, with the purchase by 3 different companies, venture capitalist companies, and the Saudi firm, as far as responsible for bringing uh, EA back to privacy. Basically, they're now a private company. They have $55 billion deal that they paid shareholders so that they could go private again. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes with Battlefield 6 and what the legs are for it. I know the initial projections that they were hoping for, which I think they were probably doing some kind of illicit drug when doing so, was that they wanted to reach 100 million players for this particular Battlefield 6, when the series itself, in its lifetime, hasn't sold 100 million units. But, that's ambitious, but okay, for lack of a better term. I'm intrigued and I want to see it. I still think the height of the series was Battlefield 3. Every now and then I still check out the Caspian Border trailer, which is one of the best trailers I've ever seen in my entire life for a video game trailer. And I'm just going to make that abundantly clear. If you can just go ahead and check it out. It's only 90 seconds long, but it really makes the game worth playing as far as Battlefield 3 at that time. I'm hoping it can get to that point again. I played a little bit of the beta, thought it was okay, jumped in it and had no problem with it. Their campaigns have always been substandard, so I'm hoping that they can realize what they need to do to make it a better experience. With Call of Duty, they not only have the campaign, they have the zombies, and they have the multiplayer, which has been a standard for many years now. Battlefield 6 doesn't do all that. They're not going to have a zombies or a third part of this. So they've got to get the campaign and the multiplayer experience, which expands beyond what Call of Duty can do, where you're jumping into a jet, you're getting into a tank, you're doing so many different varying things than what you can do with Call of Duty. That's got to be its hook. It's always tried to be its hook, but it hasn't been to the point where I think that Battlefield, the hook in being able to play vehicles and do many different varying things has been something that I think that has appealed to me, but it hasn't appealed to everyone. Everybody just has loved the core gaming of the multiplayer experience for Call of Duty more. What does Battlefield need to do to close that gap on Call of Duty? Because Call of Duty in recent years has waned a little bit as far as popularity, because it's not the standard bearer of the video game world anymore.
Okay, so here's the thing. EA is all over the place. Nobody knows what's happening with EA right now. It sold to a venture capitalist company. A big majority of it, I think, is owned by a company in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Nobody really knows what the future holds. There's rumors they're gonna sell off BioWare. I don't know, but here's the thing.
Let's get our money together if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the big, I guess, difference between the two franchises, right? We have Activision, Blizzard Activision puts out a Call of Duty game every year, if not every other year. The issue with Battlefield is that they put out a game and they tend to just disappear for a while, or they'll put out a game like a year later that is just a complete hollow cardboard box of what a full Battlefield experience should be. So I think the difference there is that the Call of Duty is backed by a company that is fully invested and fully supporting the franchise, whereas Battlefield does not have that support. And I think that until that happens, Battlefield is going to have a really hard time keeping up with Call of Duty.
Absolutely. And we will see what happens, because again, Battlefield and Call of Duty are going at it for something that we were excited about before. And we've talked about this before last time around, when Battlefield and Call of Duty were going at it tooth and nail. But Call of Duty, even at that time were still soundly beating Battlefield. So we'll see if it changes, but it starts this week on the 10th as Battlefield 6 gets released to everyone out there. So let us know your thoughts on Battlefield and the series, and if it can come closer to closing the gap between them and Call of Duty, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we get to the MCU continuing, as far as the Josh Peterson continuum, as far as Marvel is concerned, your thoughts, my friend, on what's going on with Xbox? I wanted to make sure you had plenty of time to moan and groan. As you know, the handhelds price that got released because they're impendingly released here in about 10 days or so, or something like that. $9.99 and $5.99 respectively for their different handhelds. They recently raised the price of their consoles for the second time in a year. My Xbox S and Xbox S, I didn't know I was buying it as an investment piece because they've gone up in value since I bought them, which is like a rarity for a 5-year-old console.
Yeah.
So I ask you, my friend, and that's not on top of everything else, Xbox Game Pass raised its price of its ultimate features, which includes day one titles like Call of Duty coming up, by 50% to $30 a month, which again, if you're still out there and listening to me right now, you can still find $19.99 codes. You have to go through Amazon, Best Buy, Target. They still may be available to you. GameStop, things like that. They're still selling them at $20, but the standard price eventually for everyone will be $30 going forward. Your thoughts, my friend, on Xbox? I leave the floor to you right now, sir.
So I think we ended our last conversation on Xbox at the just the them raising their console prices, and then lo and behold, 3 days later we get this little nugget out there. Yeah, I don't know. It's really it's honestly like it's ridiculous, and the fact that it's a 50% price raise where we just had the price raise from what $17.99 to $21.99 or something like that. It just goes to show that like I think that this model that they're shooting for is not sustainable. It doesn't. $30 a month is a whole lot. Whereas, you have people who have Games Pass, they will play it and they'll get their money out of it after playing, three or four games. But now it's at the point where like you have to play a whole lot of games in order to get your money out of it. Whereas it might just be worth it just to go and buy the game physically now. I mean, I was talking to Branky Poo from Super BS about this, and he was saying that he's at the point where this might be the last Xbox he gets because he's going to go switch back to just buying games instead of relying on these services. And I think about that and I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is true because what like $30 a month it's just an absurd amount of money, even if and they're like, oh, you're getting so much on top of that, you're getting like Ubisoft Plus, and oh, hey, you can play Hogwarts Legacy now. Like if you hadn't played that game, came out 2 years ago, so if you haven't played it by now, you're probably not going to play it, and having it available on Game Pass is not going to be a magnet to pull you in to purchase a service. But I mean, what are your? I feel like I'm just ranting here now, but like, what are your thoughts, man?
We went into this year, my friend, as I spoke to TJ Johnson about it on the Friday show. We went into this year with us praising the direction that Xbox was going into with the at that time a really relatively bargain price point for its consoles. The fact that it was providing games as far as quality, high tier AAA games, and the future as far as its release schedule for 2025 was going to be a really, really good year for Xbox owners. And what are we going to get? We had coming into the year, we had Indiana Jones, and then obviously we got Avowed, we've got South of Midnight, we got several games from Xbox that really showed the promise of what they were or should have done back when they originally released the Xbox Series console back 5 years ago, which would have probably made it a much closer race than it is now, seeing how that the demand for Xbox product on PlayStation is at an extremely high level. So going into that, I really thought, man, it was great to be an Xbox supporter. I've been a supporter from the first generation to now. I was really looking good. I was hearing the handheld was going to be something that's a reality. I was all in on it. I was ready to get myself one, purchase one because I thought, okay, I'm going to get the high end unit around $600 or so, and I'd be all set. Well,
$1,000.
yeah, exactly. Flash forward a few months later, that all has changed, and they've, you talk about pricing yourself out of your consumers. They did that for me. It's inexcusable. They can throw tariffs at you all they want, as far as they're concerned, and I'm sure some of that has to be incorporated in that, but some of it's just greed. Some of it's just the fact that they're trying to milk it now for all it's worth. Before, I don't know what they have to do next. There was rumors that they canceled their next gen plans. They're insisting that that's not the case, according to an IGN report. I just don't know where to go with Xbox at this point, but I can no longer support them wholeheartedly like I once did.
Yeah, absolutely. So GameStop had said they'll continue to sell things at a $20 price point, or the Ultimate for $20. And I don't know if that has anything to do with their like a contract they have with Microsoft.
Well, no, they bought the codes in advance. They bought enough codes in advance, so they've got a stockpile that's now shrinking.
Right, and I was going to say, and who knows how long that'll last, but yeah, there's literally no justification for this. Sony has not done this. They've raised console prices, but they've not done this. Like, they have not had to raise their console prices twice and raise the price of their services twice in the past year. They're not fully invested in the all digital future, whereas that's what Microsoft is going for. You go to Walmart or Target or whatever, the Microsoft section's dwindling down to one. So you're going to reach a point where they really are just going to take themselves out of the market, because you can't get their games physically. We're going to find a point where you can't get their games physically anymore, and nobody's going to want to purchase the services or anything that will get them the digital games. So at that point, and especially with some of their bigger titles coming out on PlayStation, like Gears of War, Forza. There's rumors of the Halo coming out on PlayStation. Like, if Halo materializes on PlayStation, I'm going to completely remove myself from the Xbox ecosystem, because I only use Xbox right now to occasionally play the Game Pass games, and I use Forza and Halo for the esports program that I have. But if those are all moving on to PlayStation, there's no need for it, because like I said last time, the cloud gaming is awful. Like, it works for some people who have like super high speed internet, but it's just for anyone living out in like Texas, like it doesn't work. You have to be like right in the hub of everything in order to get a decent play out of it. So it's just
I get it though. And I said that to TJ. I said, while my cloud gaming experience is really good, I know that yours is really bad.
Yeah. And then on top of that, these rumors going around that Xbox is going to introduce a free version of Game Pass where you have to sit there and watch ads in the middle of your video games. What the heck is what is that? Like, who wants that? Who wants to be sitting there playing Forza or whatever, and then all of a sudden the game just stops and an ad for a vacuum cleaner comes on? Like, what is that all about? Like, who is going to sit there and want to do that? Like, they are showing right now that all they care about is money. There's no concern over the games or the developers. Like, we're gonna, and I can probably by the end of the year, we're gonna see more developers being cut loose from Microsoft Studios also. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, man.
It is, and you and I were leading the charge for Xbox. I had said for the first few years of the show that I was trying to be Xbox Switzerland and trying to moderate, all myself as far as my fandom for all the different console makers. But in this generation, because I saw the value of how good it was for the consumer, I was trying to really get on board with and get people to understand that Xbox was the best value, but people didn't listen. And you know what? I can't say I blame them, because the release schedule of what they released wasn't either good or it was problematic at times. So I get it. I understood, but it's still with Xbox Games Pass and the concept of it and the day ones, it was still by far away the best value in gaming. And still, it's still a value if you utilize it properly and utilize it daily, and you play, across the board games from it, or you play a day one release and you finish it in the rest of the month. Then you're obviously saving the money there. But it's just I cannot toot the horn for Xbox anymore, because again, raising your price on your most attractive product by over 50%, it goes beyond what current marketplace suggests. It goes beyond the rate of inflation, which is already high in so many other products, so many other ways of our life right now. It's just out now telling your consumers that you don't really care about them at this point as much as we once did.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, like they keep saying, "Oh, tariffs, tariffs." This has nothing to do with tariffs. This has everything to do with the fact that when they were like, "Hey, let's start buying up all these studios," is probably sitting in a meeting with a bunch of kids fresh out of high school with calculators in their hands, going, "Oh, hey, this would be a really great idea." As they're tapping numbers and not actually thinking about the future repercussions of what might happen if they bought up a bunch of studios and those said studios didn't put out products in time for people to play them, at a or enough product each year for people to play them, and Microsoft still be able to make all its money back.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, my friend. But you and I are getting off that Xbox train. I think it final stop is here, and we'll just keep reporting the news. But don't hear us leading the charge or the cheer for Xbox, at least as of now, my friend.
Oh yeah, yep.
So, what are your thoughts out there on Xbox? Have you been thought of as far as what you're realizing Xbox is at this point, as far as the value? It's not what it once was. You think this is a raw deal? You think that I've seen the Lando Calrissian memes out there as far as what's gone on with deals getting worse all the time type deals. So is this deal with Xbox getting worse all the time? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, the last 8 minutes, thought you'd go ahead and elaborate on X-Men 2 as we continue our Josh continuum of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, so X-Men 2 is the movie I think that made X-Men a good franchise, that like made it more accessible to people. Like it was the first time I went into, because the first movie was really dark and it was a really tough watch at a lot of parts in that movie. But then X-Men 2 came out and it was fun. Like it was a fun movie that introduced a lot of the X-Men characters that we know from the 90s cartoon and the uh the comic books. And it kind of, I think X-Men 2 is the movie that put that series, put the franchise on the map for a lot of people. And in addition to that, they had some like really, really cool toys. And this was the movie where people, I think, finally started to care about superhero movies.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you as far as X-Men 2. I think it's by far and away the best of what I don't know how you feel about the series. I think it's the X-Men series for the most part has been underwhelming. A lot of more movies than not have disappointed my expectations, but X-Men 2 is by far and away the best movie. I think it had more complicated issues that it actually tied in very well. It had bigger issues that it wanted to express, bigger ideas that it wanted to express, and did a good job in translating those, in incorporating those into the movie. I don't know how you saw it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and I think the story was actually really well written. I mean, the first one was really iffy. It's weird because the X-Men movie franchise, like historically, has had, it's all ups and downs. There's no like constant there. So we had X-Men 2 came out, really good movie, and then we had X-Men 3, like the Brett Ratner movie was there was not really anything that was great about that movie. And then we had X-Men Origins, the Wolverine story, and that one was just not it was such like a campy film that it's just that you could not take it seriously. And that guy put out the copy that didn't have the computer effects done yet. Remember that? And that guy just got sentenced a couple years ago. But yeah, there's no constant in that franchise. It's all like good movie, bad movie, good movie, bad movie, good movie, bad movie. And so I think that I don't know, they're like constantly striving to do whatever it is to make all this money, but they have never really thought about like what they're doing with the story and where they want it to go. What is the future of this series going to look like? But X-Men 2 covered the story of Wolverine. They covered the the confliction of like characters like Pyro. Like, am I doing the right thing? Is anything really going to happen through peaceful activism, or do I have to get my hands dirty to finally get people to listen to? Like, they asked a lot of really meaningful questions in that movie, and somehow after that movie was made, all of those things just got lost in everything else.
Absolutely. It was just something that I think that, like you said, helped catapult this into a full-fledged series. And I think the fact that we're, excited still to some extent for the X-Men going forward, being not only introduced like they have been introduced, but being more incorporating into the MCU now that they've actually have the ability to be part of the MCU. I think a lot of that stems from the excitement that people that have watched it at the time and have watched it since, of how good X-Men 2 is. And I think that's what the realization of what the X-Men could be all about, and our hopes for the future beyond what happens after Secret Wars, because the X-Men are going to be heavily relied upon going forward. That seems to be the direction Marvel wants to take. And in doing so, I hope they can take a lot of steps and a lot of things that they took and used in X-Men 2.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that the MCU, I actually am really appreciative of what they're doing with X-Men in the MCU. They're giving us a chance to say goodbye to these old characters, this franchise that version of the franchise that we grew up with, and they're giving us a chance to say goodbye, and also like feel like we have the closure we need to welcome in a new version of these heroes. And I really appreciate that.
As do I, my friend, as do I. But if you have some fond memories of X-Men 2 and the hope that the X-Men can be integrated well to that type of efficiency, moving beyond Secret Wars after what they're going to do during those two films, as far as Doomsday and Secret Wars, and then beyond as far as what plans Marvel has with them moving forward, please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode once again. 475, 475 weeks later, we've been doing this. We're on our way to 500. As I always say, any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yeah. So as the leading experts in our field on all things pop culture related, I gotta say to everyone out there, stop saying 6'7". All right, it really sounds dumb. All right, like my kids will not stop with that, and like the origins of the joke make absolutely no sense. There's some things that are better off left alone. So let's let 6 and 7 go back to being numbers. Okay.
Well, I told you I do the Lakers fast break, and I often discuss heights when it concerns players. If they're tall or how they fit. And I did say 6'7", and I've read about the 6'7" lingo, and then my teenage girls, Dad said 6'7", Dad said 6'7", Dad said 6'7". I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. So I teach in my classes at school. Like, I handed out the form for the book report, and I ran out of space on the paper when I originally made it so many years ago, and it says 6-7 for the last slide because I had to squeeze it onto the paper. And I handed that paper out, and the kid's like, "Oh, it's 6'7". You did this on purpose." Like, no, I honestly, like, I think that 6'7" is stupid, and y'all need to stop stop making a big deal out of it.
My words exactly. I cannot agree with you more. So for Josh the Great Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. We're not 6'7", but it is what it is.
24/7. That's what we are.
24/7 indeed. But it's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself not a 6'7" beautiful day, a good day, and a wonderful day.
Welcome to the pop culture cosmos.